X-Plane 12 releasing at the end of last year. A lot of hype was there leading up to the beta release, but then that very, very quickly died down
Yeah.
because honestly, most people were disappointed in the state of X-Plane 12 in its beta form. And then when they released it in coming out of beta, I was like, all right, well, this still feels like beta, So I feel like doing that whole public beta release kind of really softened the hype around X-Plane 12. It was good to allow the majority of people to get a chance to test it, right? I feel like you get a better quality of testing when you have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people playing your game. But at the same time, it also hurts your reputation because people are seeing the ugly side of it, right? It's like when you release a brand new game, usually you'll have like a private beta, which they did do that. Have a private beta where only certain people look at it and they understand that this is a work in progress game simulator, right?
Right,
And
right,
they won't
right,
really
right.
judge it for what it looks like now, but what it's going to be in the future. But the problem is when you release it like as a public beta, you have people who don't understand, who don't are not used to testing aircraft and testing a half-baked, half-finished sims. And so then you're just like, all right. And then it also, as a beta tester, it's hard for you to, depending on what the final product ends up being, it's hard for you to understand, like and appreciate the new sim for what it is. Does that make any sense? And
No,
so
no.
I think that it really tainted their release. Honestly, both of us are big X-Plane people. We both came from X-Plane before Microsoft Flight Sim came out. But the issue is just that when it came out, it was not looking good. The performance was bad. The clouds were horrible. Like, there's so many things. And then during the full release of it, it didn't get much better. I was like, really? You guys are going to release this without the custom FMC you promised on A330? You know what I mean? That was the biggest thing. They didn't come out with the A330 custom FMC that they talked about, and it still isn't out at the time of this recording.
Yeah, look, I got upset at the way they rolled out the final version. And I spoke to you about it. It's like, man, are we on final version or not? There's a tweet sent out somewhere and goes, oh, the final version is out. I'm like, okay, my program is still saying release candidate one or two or whatever it was. I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't see a difference.
Yeah.
So right then and there, expectations is a heck of a thing. Because if somebody says, all right, we've been in beta, we're in release candidate, oh, here it is. And it's like literally no difference. There was no update that came out. There was nothing. It was like, there you go. You have the sim. So expectation being built up a certain way, then there's this huge letdown because you're like, this is no different than 5 minutes ago, but
Yeah.
now it's release, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that left a bad taste in my mouth, having loved the X-Plane for so long.
Oh yeah.
However, fast forward a few months, was it 2 months now? They've been steadily dropping releases, and I've been watching other people play it. Yep, fair enough. I have not gone back on it. I
you
have
haven't
not.
you haven't gone back to it yet, have you?
Guilty as charged, and I do plan to. But watching Q8 pilot, watching
Yeah.
HD simulation, I check in on those guys and go, let's see what it looks like today. Let's see what the update brought. Let's see what and between those two guys, mainly is who I watch play X-Play, and I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, they're on the right stop, but they just shouldn't have dropped it the way they did because it was a huge letdown for me. Also, you spoke about A330 custom FMC. It's delayed. Delayed until who knows? And people ask me, when are you going to fly X-Plane? I'm like, yes, I'm going to fly it. But, this might transition over into what's big coming for the flight sim community in general and
Yeah.
timing. The Polis 320 Neo is
Yeah.
going to drop.
Mm.
Definitely have to fly that in X-Plane 12. I don't care what else. That has to be flown. the When the custom MCDU comes out for the 330, definitely want to fly that. And then, of course, there's a flight factor 777. Don't know when that's going to come,
Yeah.
and so forth and so on. But at least we know right now, in March, I think that's when it says Tolis is going to be dropping the A320 Neo.
Wow.
And hopefully there is going to be enough updates to get to that point. I can look at it and go, okay, this thing is stable. This thing is stutter free. This thing looks good. And I think I had spoken to you when you installed it recently saying there's a lot more trees in the thing now. Like,
Yeah.
things like that, they're adding slowly over time. So uh,
Yeah,
fingers
I would
crossed. Yeah,
I would say
you know,
X-Plane has a ton of potential, right? Obviously, there's
yes,
the major issues that most people have with it is it doesn't have the scenery that comes with it, right? The ortho photos, even though the default airports look really freaking good. Like they're
better than Microsoft, but
impressive,
yeah,
way better than Microsoft.
yeah,
The default airports are really good,
yeah,
but when it comes to the ground textures, it's like, right? The clouds are they're working on them. They're getting better, but they're still not quite there. But yeah, I mean the I am like just I'm seriously I can't wait to fly the A330 from X-Plane. It looks great. It actually sounds really good. It's just that FMC and the GPS just doesn't like you can't trust that plane. You can't like I don't know. I mean,
yep,
I posted a video like months ago where I crashed it, not on purpose, but because that plane was just so unstable and so
yep,
unpredictable. I lost control of the aircraft and crashed
yep,
multiple times. But yeah, shout out to like people like Q8 Pilot, HD Simulations, and all those who are streaming and creating content around X Plane because they're doing all this through the growing pains of X-Plane. But I think it will pay off because they will be in position, right, when X-Plane does finally get stable, when it finally gets to that place where it's like, all right, this is now a great sim. They're going to be in position, content creator wise, to really take advantage of that viewership in that area. But that being said, I think X-Plane is heavily, and it always has been, but it's heavily dependent on third-party developers. And this has been the major downfall of X-Plane 12 since its release is the fact that how we can count on one hand how many sceneries have been updated or released for X-Plane 12
right,
with all the
probably,
new actual features. Like there's people who are releasing like, using the old world editor with like, editing buildings and whatnot, but with all the new rain effects on the ground and textures and things like that, there's only a very few sceneries specifically that have been come out for X-Plane 12. And developers, as far as aircraft, have finally started releasing updates to the aircraft after the public full release of X-Plane 12, which is very, very recent ago.
yeah,
And we're still waiting for a lot of aircraft like the 777, the 787 from Flight Factor, waiting for the Falcon. There's a lot of things like, what's going on? Like, what happened? We thought you guys were supposed to release this stuff like day one, week one, month
right,
one, right?
right,
And I think that's one of the other reasons that people are like waiting on X-Plane is because they're like, all right, well, you promised all these really cool features, this, and that. Like the Zebo, for example, I'm not sure if they fixed it, but last time I checked, which was last night, it still don't flare. And you, yeah, that's a
yeah.
smash machine right now.